Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Catholic Coffee Talk, a podcast where in between sips, we answer your Catholic questions. I'm your host, Father Brad Doyle, and I have with me our resident good Catholic, Peter Gone. Peter, what's crack-a-lackin'?
Not too much. I'm just enjoying a nice caramel coffee here.
See, you say when caramel...
I say caramel because there's an A in this word.
Well, what would it be if you want to say caramel? What are you expecting?
Carmel, like Mount Carmel and Our Lady
of
Carmel.
Oh, okay. You just proved it for me. I'm going to go with you. You're right. Caramel was without an A.
I've got feelings. Put it that way. It's caramel.
You win. You always do, don't you? So this week we have a lightning round.
Yeah.
So we have a bunch of questions. So I thought for banter, we can say our scariest experience with lightning.
Oh, okay.
Have you even thought about that? Is this like the first you're looking at it?
Two experiences come to mind.
Oh,
actually.
Okay. Give them to me. Hit them.
Well, I don't know if either of them were really all that terrifying. The first one was when I was a kid, and my family drove across country. We did like a 6-week cross-country trip, and I had no idea how lucky I was because I was like 7, right? But I remember being somewhere out in the plains, sitting in the backseat of our van, looking out the window across I don't know how many miles, and we could see a storm that was probably a tornado, but it was just a giant, dark sky in the middle of the day and everything. And I just remember seeing lightning go from cloud to cloud, just horizontally.
Wowzers.
Which I had never seen as a kid, and I haven't seen since. And I just remember that was ridiculous. That was otherworldly. Put it that way. It blew my mind as a 7-year-old.
You saw Sauron.
Oh, yeah. And then, go ahead.
Well, you got another one?
Yeah, this is more recent. This is when we were going to adopt my dog a few years ago. My wife and I, we were at the Humane Society, and we were like in the kennels, like meeting the different dogs. And basically, there was like a thunderstorm brewing.
Yeah.
But like way before the rain started falling, or really there was thunder, there was like a rogue lightning strike.
Oh no!
Right on the property.
That's so
we
scary.
didn't see it because it was right on the other side of the building. But we were probably like 20 or 30 yards away from it, and it struck a telephone pole. And again, we didn't see it happen. Obviously, we heard it happen, because it was like a loud explosion, right on the other side of a wall. But the telephone pole was just shattered. It literally just looked like it exploded in every direction. So when we came around to the parking lot, and the dogs were flipping out, so they asked us to leave, and that was fine. But we get out to the parking lot, and there was just like giant splinters of wood everywhere.
Whoa.
And it didn't seem like there was any damage. Everyone was fine. There was no damage other than that. But it was just wild.
That is wild. That scares me, the idea of the rogue lightning. It's like
out of nowhere.
Usually we always, growing up, what do? We count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Is that what you do? Do you say Mississippi?
Yeah.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi? Okay, because I didn't know if that was a cultural Southern thing, because I think other people say 1 1,000, 2 1,000.
1,000. Yeah, I kind of grew up doing both.
Gotcha. So, but we're like, oh yeah, that's 5 miles off. But guess what? At some point, that one had to just hit, right? So
yeah, the first lightning strike had to hit somewhere for each storm.
So so it just always seemed fake. We counted to 3 Mississippi. I guess we're totally fine now. It's not really. My most scary experience with lightning, all my lightning experience really at this point, other than golf now, but I'm pretty good about it. I don't go out into the lightning, but has been in North Carolina at camp. Whenever we're on because it's kind of like when you're camping, you're hiking, you're not getting away from it. So if you find yourself
covered,
if you find yourself on a ridge, that's the scariest thing. I was going with some friends. We were camping on Blue Ridge Mountain in the Blue Ridge Parkway. So we're up on the top of the ridge of the Blue Ridge, and a just crazy storm came through, and we were about 2 miles from our car, and the lightning started hitting. I had a guitar with me. The guitar got soaked, and I'm telling you, it felt like it was hitting next to me. I'm sure it was like, a quarter of a mile away, but when it's all around you and you have nowhere to be and you feel like you're exposed, like I'm going to die. And
yeah,
I didn't. So there we go.
I mean, I've just had that experience being in a house, but when lightning and thunder are happening simultaneously for you, like where you are, there's no counting, there's no delay. Just that alone is scary. I can't imagine being outside during that.
Well, this past week, the Monday Night Football got delayed for like 30 minutes. It's an inside.
Really?
Yeah, but they're in a dome. Like they came up to him. Yeah, they came up to John Gruden. There's this hilarious video of like the ref telling John Gruden that lightning was going to delay this game by 35 minutes, and like he just looks around,
we're inside,
and then he looks up at the ceiling and he just like shakes his head. It's just like the bureaucrats like have won. Like we are now delaying like this game.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Oh, it was crazy. Anyway, so I think it's time for What's Percolating? What's Percolating? Where the questions percolating in your head get answers from the church's tradition.
We live in a tumultuous age, and sin is multiplying like never before. But Christ has sent a message of divine mercy to call all of us back to Him. The Divine Mercy Devotion is God's message for these times, and we need to listen. That's why Good Catholic has put together a new series on the Divine Mercy Devotion. Our goal is to give you the guidance and spiritual tools you need to encounter God's profound mercy, embrace penance, and obtain greater peace and happiness. Our Divine Mercy series has video reflections by Father Ken Geraci that guide you to a deeper understanding of Divine Mercy, articles that reveal what true mercy is, what we need to do about it, along with daily email reminders delivered straight to your inbox to help you stay on track. Sign up today at goodcatholic.com or click the link in the show notes.
Again, it's a lightning round, so we're just going to go. We're not going to dwell. If I start dwelling, if I go down a rabbit hole, Peter, just slap me through the computer. Say,
yeah, we'll hit you with a sound effect.
Ooh, what's the sound effect?
How about that? Oh, I don't even know. That's up to our producer. We won't tell you either. You'll know it when you hear it.
I'll know it. Okay, here we go.
All right. So we have like five questions, 6 questions. So let's just start.
Okay.
First question from Dan: is it appropriate to wear a rosary like jewelry?
Dan, good question. Get this question often. I said Dan, not damn. I just want you to
make that clear. Yeah,
just want
good.
to make that clear. I don't think it's as black and white as a strict no, though a lot of people treat it that way. They're like, didn't you know you can't wear the rosary around your neck? I'm like, I don't think it says that in any official document. I think what people have a problem with is often, and it's been my experience too, often when the rosary is worn around the neck, it's in a situation where someone's not necessarily like devoted to Mary and praying the rosary. Right. And it might be even like in a scandalous situation, like clubbing and like grinding, and they got a rosary around their neck or whatever. And it's like, okay, that's a bad situation. But I'll say this, that's the same thing for just the cross, right? like some like rapper who's like rapping about murdering people, but he's got a cross around his neck. Like it's the same. Cross, yeah. It's the same situation. So I don't think it's like the rosary is any different. Like we wear the cross as jewelry, but it should be devotion, and we shouldn't be hypocrites when we do it. I think the same would go for the rosary. I think just in general, people notice rosaries more than crosses on someone's neck.
Yeah, I think that's valid. I think the important thing would be to treat it like a rosary and not treat it like jewelry. Like when you wear a cross, you're not really going to do much with that cross other than have it be as a reminder to yourself of, the cross of Christ. But like the rosary similarly is meant to be used. So just as like that, like Dominicans and Franciscans, I think too, like wear the rosary. A lot of orders wear the rosary like on their belt as part of their habit. Like it's not jewelry, but it's part of their, outfit. It's part of what they carry every day.
It's their fit.
Yeah, so it's about I
look
think it's about
drippy.
your attitude and why you're doing it and why you have it and referencing it and using it.
Are you just gonna like bowl past my drippy reference? Do you even know what drippy is?
Nope, sorry, you missed me on that one.
That's because I teach 10th graders. They teach.
Oh,
me
is this
words.
like the lingo of the Utes?
It is. It means
that's
cool,
why.
drippy. Anyway, next one.
All right, question from Debbie: is eating meat on Friday a sin?
Yes, if. Well, let's go back. There is we are bound still canonically to abstain from meat on every Friday. People think that went away a long time ago. It did not. But what we can do now is, if it's not Lent and it's a Friday, you can replace that abstinence with another sacrifice or prayerful or almsgiving act, right? So you can replace the abstinence, which is just important. So if you don't replace the abstinence and you eat meat, then it could possibly be a sin of like just not fulfilling devotion. And then during Lent, obviously, everyone still knows that. Even like the people who aren't going to Mass are like not eating meat on Lent, which is a good thing. But so I would say but there are also distinctions there, right? So canonically, if you go to the canon law, only certain types of people have to abstain from meat even during Lent, right? There's distinctions like the extreme elderly or the very young child, that's not conscious yet of the situation, isn't bound by that. So it wouldn't be
Pregnant women as well, I think.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's there's some distinctions there. And so, but if you ought to be and you don't knowingly, so this also isn't a matter of I accidentally put a piece or I'm eating a salad and there's bacon bits on it and I didn't know that and the server brought it and I put it in my mouth and now I gotta like spit the salad out into the face of like my business partner who's at lunch with me. Don't do that.
Right.
Just eat around the bacon bits,
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Thanks, Deb.
All right, next question from Jane. Why do some churches continue to ring the bells at the consecration and others don't?
Preference. I think that's the nice answer. I think sometimes the cynical answer would be that certain liturgical reforms at some point tried to minimize the accoutrements, the smells and bells, as we call it. Some of the things that are just give the liturgy texture, whether that's like art or vestments or things like bells.
The bells
and people at some point had thought maybe we're focusing too much on these external things and we want to focus on Jesus. The problem with that is that we're human beings and we have bodies, and so we're not like just ghosts floating around in mass, right? We actually have bodies, so physical things are important and they actually help us keep our focus. I see this all the time. I'm a priest. I say mass all the time. I say mass for kids, and just last night, the second graders are like antsy and they're coming to mass, on PSR once a month. They come to mass, leading up to First Reconciliation, First Communion in April, and I get to preach to them and this and that, and they're kind of antsy. And then consecration happens and the bells happen, and they were like, whoo, when they're just paying attention. And it's like, listen, when we Dumbo adults think we're better than the kids who need the bells, like, no, you need the bell. That liturgist who says like I can pay attention, probably not. We need the bells sometimes to remind us what's holy. It kind of sanctifies that time period and sets it apart.
That bears out in my experience. Our parish normally uses Eucharistic Prayer 1, like the full canon, the long one. But there's another church. It's actually technically in a different diocese, so we're not bound to go to it. But it's a little closer to our house, just kind of the way the borders fall. And so sometimes when the baby's fussy or whatever, or his nap time falls really inconveniently on a Sunday morning, we'll go to the church that's a little closer. And they tend not use Eucharistic Prayer 1, and because it's quicker, it usually catches me off guard. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
that, like,
yeah.
I'll kneel down. I'm starting to pray. I'm starting to listen. And then suddenly I look up and it's consecration. I'm like, like I gotta pay attention. And if it wasn't for the bells that like remind me, like, hey, pay attention. This is the big part. I would definitely zone out through that sometimes. That would have definitely happened to me.
Wow.
So the bells are there to remind you to pay attention, not the opposite.
I had a thought, but I'm not going to say it.
Cool.
And you'll be happy for me. Okay, you'll be happy with me. Fantastic. Next. By the way, Zach, can you just cut me off one time with a sound? Like you promised us noises, you promised us sounds, and I haven't heard one. I'm going to talk.
I'm writing checks.
You know
and
what?
He has to cash them.
You know what? I'm going to keep talking about the bells until I get. Was that it?
Is that a cricket?
Oh, Zach, you got to get your game together. That was just weak.
Swing and a pop up.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, Ruth Ann.
All right, Ruth Ann. My daughter asked me, so I'm asking you. Why is the tabernacle kept locked?
One, thanks for going and asking a question so you can answer your daughter. I mean, fantastic. Parents should do this more often. Practical, to protect the Eucharist and to avoid sacrilege. There are actually people who desire to steal the Eucharist for nefarious reasons, and this has been the case in every parish I've been at. Whether it's they know what they're doing, whether they're just trying to, they're kids that are trying to just be mischievous, or whether there is edgy, or whether it's truly connected to the occult and to black masses and stuff, which does happen. People don't want to think about this, but there are people who want to steal the Eucharist so they can desecrate the Eucharist. They're not stealing the Eucharist at other churches. They're not going to get the communion wafer that's found in the little plastic container that the non-denom church gives you. No, they're coming for the Catholic Eucharist because of what we believe it is. We say it's Jesus Christ, body, blood, soul, and divinity, and that's what it is. So we got to protect. If we're serious about what we believe, we're protecting the Eucharist. We're also protected in taking it out sometimes from the tabernacle when there's situations like in Grand Isle recently. There's an entire procedure for when a hurricane's coming. You remove the Blessed Sacrament. The priest goes. If a fire's happening, the priest should get the Blessed Sacrament. There was a story about a priest doing that that I read a couple years ago where he ran into the burning church to get the Blessed Sacrament. I'm weeping and listening to this story because
it was like when Notre Dame caught fire, right? They have the crown of thorns, relics of the true cross, all of these incredible relics. And what do they run in to get first? The Blessed Sacrament.
The Blessed Sacrament.
As it should be. Yeah. So that's how I think about it in terms of why do we lock the tabernacle? Well, would you lock up your jewelry? Would you lock up your valuables in a hotel safe? Why? Because they're valuable. So if the most valuable thing on earth is the Eucharist, why wouldn't you protect it?
Boom. That's it. One more or a couple more? What do we got? One more.
All right, last question from Marie. Why do Catholics celebrate the Sabbath on Sunday when clearly it is Saturday?
Ooh, I love how you begged the question there. It's called a logical fallacy of begging the question. Why do you do this? Since clearly you're wrong. I would argue.
Maybe she didn't mean it that way, but
I get what you're saying. Yeah, so in the Old Testament, the Old Covenant, in the Jewish law, obviously the Sabbath is Saturday. And that was the practice. Jesus himself, growing up would be celebrating the Sabbath, and it would be a Saturday. The problem is that in the New Covenant, a lot of things changed, and change isn't necessarily bad. So one of those things is we can eat, guess what, bacon. We talked about bacon a lot this episode. We don't have to abstain from pork. Well, that is something that the Old Covenant had us abstain from, so that changed. We also don't have to circumcise ourselves to fulfill a covenant, right? So that changed. That's pretty important. And the date of or the day of the week that we celebrate as the Lord's Day changed, and is that way from the very early on. The Didache, which is 70 A.D. One, there's scriptural
older
reference.
than the Bible.
What's that?
Didache is older than the Bible.
Yeah, it's older than
as we have it, at
the
least.
Gospel of John. Yeah, definitely. Gospel of John was written after it. So the Didache, it says, but every Lord's Day, which is understood as Sunday, gather yourself together and break bread and give thanksgiving after having confessed your transgressions, that your sacrifice may be pure. Also, the letter of Barnabas in 74 AD says, we keep the 8th day, which is interesting, the 8th day. So Sunday is known as the first day of the week and the 8th day of the week. And think of it this way, new creation. So you have the 7th day, God rested on the 7th day, but then the 8th day is the new creation. We keep the 8th day, Sunday, with joyfulness, the day also on which Jesus rose again from the dead. And Ignatius of Antioch says that we no longer observing the Sabbath, but living the observance of the Lord's Day. Justin Martyr says, but on Sunday is the day on which we hold our common assembly. I could continue to go on. The early church fathers are very clear that from the beginning, from apostolic time, the church was celebrating the Lord's Day as Sunday, the 8th day, because Jesus rose on a Sunday. He died on a Friday. He rose 3 days later on the Sunday, and that's why we do it.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
I ain't got anything else.
All
but
right.
you know, I was kind of a little harsh. So I think we all need a pick me up. This is ours. Sabine of the week.
Here we go. You want to go first?
Yeah. So there's a song by a guy named John Bellion. Have I done this before?
No, this doesn't ring a bell.
John
Bellion.
John Bellion. And I think I looked up once his other stuff. And so not everything is like super duper like solid. There might be some, I guess I can't endorse every single one of his songs, but there's a song called Stupid Deep, and it is fantastic. And it's basically like this musical expression of Augustine's phrase, "My heart is restless until it rests in you." And I don't know if he even knows that. I think it might be just like him living out that phrase, like "My heart is restless until it rests in you." Like, and he realizes that his experience is that, in his own experience. And so he wrote a song about it, and it's fantastic. Have you ever heard it?
I haven't, but I definitely will look it up.
You got to look it up because it is a fantastic. I mean, some of the lyrics are, because the hole inside my heart. Well, let me get it. Some of the lyrics. What if who I hoped to be was always me, and the love I fought to feel was always free? What if all the things I've done were just attempts at earning love, 'cause the hole inside my heart is stupid deep? What if all the things I've done were just attempts at earning love, 'cause the hole inside my heart is stupid deep? And really, what stupid deep is to me is like as big as God. Look, the hole inside my heart is like as big as God.
It's a very colloquial way to say unknowably deep.
Yeah.
Infinite. Yeah.
So anyway, go check it out. I liked it. You might too.
I'm definitely going to check it out. Maybe I should have gone first because it's a better segue. But my being of the week, honestly, it was just taking a real Sabbath this week. Been pretty stressed out with a lot of things to do here at work. Things have been really busy at home, and I just had a lot of work to do like at home, like mowing the lawn and some yard work and stuff around the house to do, and just kind of feeling a little overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And so I felt like I could have spent a lot of most of Saturday just taking care of stuff, and could have done that all day Saturday too, or all day Sunday. But kind of just decided to make sure our Sabbath was a good restful Sabbath, this week, and made that pretty deliberate. And it was a huge blessing. I'm really glad I did, because it's better than just taking a day off.
When we listen to God, it kind of works out.
Imagine that.
Imagine it.
Yeah, so that was kind of just my pick me up, taking a real Sabbath. So I would just encourage all y'all to make sure your Sundays are restful and prayerful and rejuvenating and oriented towards those high things.
Absolutely. Well, good job. You've been listening to Catholic Coffee Talk with me, Father Brad, and our resident good Catholic, Peter Gone. Coffee Talk is brought to you by the Catholic Company and is part of the Good Catholic Podcast Cooperative. If this episode has blessed you, you can find more content at goodcatholic.com. As always, we ask you to leave a review, a rating, share the pod with a friend, or simply pray for us and our mission. If you have a question of your own that has been percolating, shoot us an email at askapriest@goodcatholic.com. Actually, I'm stopping this ad read, and I'm not going to read it anymore. I'm only going to say, do this. If you have a question in your head, it's not an ad read, but it's like if you have a question in your head, go to speakpipe.com. Speakpipe.com. SPEAKPIPE.com/Catholic Coffee Talk. And I want you to ask us a question so we can play it on the air. We got to get this thing rolling because as soon as one person does it, everyone else is going to be like, oh, that was so cool. I want to do that too. So speakpipe.com/Catholic Coffee Talk. That's it. I'm not going further until someone does that.
All right, we'll wait.
Now that was good timing. Bye.